that leaves you feeling like I have a long way to go. That, you know what, I thought I'm getting there, but clearly there's still such a long way to go. But instead of looking at it in a negative light, you look at it in a positive light to say the best is yet to come. Our motivational speaker today is another TUT alumni, Mr. Zweli Mnisi. You know, his bio here in front of me, even if I had to read a portion of it, I think I would leave you in awe. He has accomplished a lot, and he still finds the time to come back and give to the university that he started his academic career in. Mr. Mnisi is currently serving as the head of public relations, media, engagement, content, digital Africa at Nestle. He basically looks after the East and Southern Africa region. It encompasses a number of countries. I can just imagine what a constant struggle it is to actually try and marry all those different cultures and try and ensure that you do business in a way that speaks to the different countries that you're serving. He's also the official corporate spokesperson for the company on external communications, which cannot be an easy feat. His overall strategic objective is to manage, strengthen, and protect Nestle's reputation by establishing strategic internal, global, and external relationships to achieve this goal. In this day of social media, he probably has his hands full because there's this cancel culture that we have in the country that the slightest misstep, Twitter will have you for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever it is. So I'm pretty sure that you're constantly out there protecting the reputation of your brand. And from where I'm standing, I can honestly say I've never heard anything negative or seen anything that has the potential to tarnish the Nestle brand. So well done to you, Mr. Mnisi. You are clearly doing what you need to get done. Mr. Mnisi has 21 years experience in strategic leadership, marketing, communications, as well as government liaison, stakeholder relations. Kudos to the journalism department at CATSETA. Is there an HOD from the journalism department in the room? Oh, pity. I wanted to say you are clearly doing something right because the quality of your graduates speaks for itself. I personally know of a few over the years that are holding their own in this very competitive space. So whatever it is that you're doing, keep doing it right because it can only take TUT to the next level. Basically, some career highlights of Mr. Mnisi is that he serves as the head of communications and media relations at Accenture, another big corporate that is holding its space in this country, where he basically proactively drove a PR strategy that resulted in positively elevating the Accenture brand, as well as in South Africa and internationally. He served as a chief director, communications and spokesperson for the former Minister of Police, Mr. Nathi Mthethwa. That must have been a very interesting job because it probably kept you on your toes. Having to speak on behalf of anything in the public sector probably keeps you very, very busy. You know, by this, I just want to highlight that Mr. Mnisi comes with a wealth of knowledge, both the public and the private sector. To marry these two very diverse worlds, I always joke, I started my career in corporate. I worked for a large hotel group. And then I joke and I say I joined the dark side when I went into the public sector because I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to add value. You know, when you walk into a space, I worked for Protea Hotels for years, and I was given a lot of opportunities to advance. I had mentors. I had people that were invested in seeing me grow. I don't think I would be where I am if it wasn't for certain people that opened doors for me. I always share with my colleagues at work and my subordinates that you are a product of the people around you. There was a WhatsApp message that was running around, and it's one of these profound messages that it says, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, which is very, very true, because your environment determines your thinking patterns and how you interact with the world around you. So, Mr. Mnisi, your bio, I could read on and on and on. There are so many amazing things here about your time at Sports and Recreation South Africa, water, affairs and forestry. So I can safely say that You've done quite a lot. But I always like to say, behind every great man, there's a woman. I'm not surprised that you're doing as well as you're doing, because I just discovered this morning that Mr. Nisi is married to somebody that I went to primary school and high school with. Actually, she's a bit older than me. She was in the same grade as my brother. So kudos to you, and the fact that, I'm not diminishing your achievements, but they do say behind every great man, there's a woman. So clearly, you are doing something right. I'm going to welcome you up here to please give us the motivational address to get the students to understand that the journey is just beginning.
Protocol observed. Okay, thank you, Sharon. Professor Mkola, thank you for a warm welcome. I want to acknowledge the Chancellor in absentia, Dr. Ramkopa. I want to acknowledge Professor Van Staden in absentia as well, the entire TUT leadership management that's here, and our VVIPs. I was joking earlier that there's Ps and then there's VVIPs. So our celebrants today are our VVIPs. So welcome, and we are here because of you. I think as a disclaimer, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm just a young boy from Social Guve who was blessed. But blessings alone cannot make you achieve your goals. You combine blessings with hard work, with dedication, and with determination. So today I've titled my talk, To Be Young, Gifted, and Bold. What does it mean? Because I'm sure we're here because of these young people who have done so well in the academic sphere. So success can be defined in many ways. Some people see buying a car as success, some people getting married, some achieving the academic excellence as success. But the one thing that is common among all these people is that there's one common thread, which is hard work. If you go to church, for those of you who go to church, most pastors will tell you that this is your year. 2020, 2020, receive, sit there and you clap and you praise God and do all those things. I don't think that's how you get blessed. You have to put work, because God cannot bless a lazy person. You have to go there and set your goals, write them down, because one of the things I think I've done well in my career, I stopped dreaming, and I know this might sound controversial. Dreams don't come true, actions do. Because you can all dream, wake up with a nightmare, and then you still get nervous. But if you write down your SWOT analysis, I did that long ago when I was growing up. I was raised by a mother who's a teacher. Now, the good thing about being raised by a teacher is that you think she's a teacher at school. When she gets home, she'll be your mother. How wrong I was. When I got home, every time I wanted her to buy me something, I'll write a test. She'll make sure that there's a condition to everything to say, sure, if you want me to buy you a bicycle or a soccer ball, here's a deal. You get 90%, and then we can have a deal. Was it punishment? I think it was a good punishment, because I grew in an environment where there was books. Now, that's the one thing that's lacking today, because yes, technology is good. It makes us advance. We communicate, but you cannot be on Twitter and Facebook for 24 hours and expect to have a decent conversation with a banker in New York. Why am I making a reference to this? Because the world, ladies and gentlemen, has become flat. Today, a child or a boy who was born in Social Guve can head or speak on behalf of the biggest food company in the world. It's not by coincidence. It's not because I shouted, I receive in church. It's because I worked hard. It was humbling, but it's also not a one-man show, because, as Sharon says, it takes a village to raise a child. Your network becomes your net worth. You can't talk with losers, hang around with losers and expect to have a positive life. So one of the things I did well in my early years was to determine the company association that I kept. I'll make an example. I don't drink or smoke. And there was one time where we had a gathering. All of my friends were drinking and smoking. And I was told that I'm too cheesy, what's wrong with me? So instead of being celebrated, I was mocked. Did it affect me? Not at all. Society and even TUT management and lecturers have a role to play in terms of guiding your ways, guiding your career. But at the end of the day, it starts with you. One of the things I did, because I'm in the communications field, I started speaking multiple languages. Why is it important? Because I was able to translate and communicate more effectively because I fluently speak 9 official languages. It's not because I'm an expert, but because I made efforts to speak isiZulu, Xhosa, Sepedi, even English, because sometimes there's a perception that if you twang, you're intelligent. That's not true. English is just a language, not a measure of intelligence. So you can see some of the world's greatest stars, they don't speak English. And I'm not trying to demean speaking English, but I'm simply saying, do not be fooled by going to a multiracial school and twang and think you've achieved. So I said to myself, how do I rebrand myself to be accepted for who I am, not how I want to be viewed? Well, the first point was to conduct a SWOT analysis, look at the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that are around me. So funny enough, as I drew this column, the threats were more and the opportunities were less. Because you go up in a township, you see yourself as, for me to achieve is if I buy a city golf or maybe a BMW, that is success. For me, if I move out of my family home and move into a flat, perhaps that is success. But it's not true. So I took a leap of faith, and I remember I grew up in Pretoria, by the way, so I studied at TUT, but I then moved to Cape Town to say, let me go and find out what is out there. Let me go and be independent, learn about myself, find out more what can work for me and what cannot work. But as I say, the power of association, you start identifying role models within your community, and there's also this perception that role models must be seen on TV or heard on radio. That is not true. I was raised by a grandmother who did not have an MBA or a doctorate, but her teachings up to date have made me what I am. Why am I making this reference? Academic excellence is good, but it has its limitations, because in the final analysis, the fact that you're here in this room and you've graduated, you are now competing with global players. You're not going to get a job because you obtained or you're a top learner in your institution or faculty. The world has become local. What is local? We're used to globalization, but now it means South Africa's problems, whether economic, social, or otherwise, will not be solved by foreigners or foreign nationals. We as South Africans will have to stand there, find local solutions while we're thinking globally, by the way. Because today, ladies and gentlemen, a young man from Soshanguve is able to advise global leaders, whether they're in Switzerland, in the UK, in Australia, about how to effectively communicate. I was so blessed to have traveled the world. I've been to Germany, Australia, but when I stood on those international platforms, it wasn't about me. It was for every little boy who grew up without a role model, every little boy who saw success through a purchasing of a vehicle. The perceptions must change, and they must change now, because in the final analysis, it cannot be that we have what you call repetism, repeat offenders, where many of our young people are in jails today. It's so sad when I go to Soshanguve and I go to a car wash, some of the peers that I went to school with call me Grootman, which means a sign of respect because of what you've achieved. It shouldn't be. I should be sitting in those boardrooms, in those executive discussions with my peers that I went to school with. So is it the fault of the university? Is it the fault of the professors in this room? I don't think so. So to the celebrants today, the institution will play its part. They will support you. They will give you all the knowledge. But at the end of the day, it starts with you. Rebrand yourself. Go out there. Tell yourself that I am part of a local community. But for me to stand out, it means it has to start with me. Do not take for granted the opportunity that you've achieved, because I have friends, relatives who are passionate about education, but due to socio-economic challenges, they could not afford even an entrance to university. So when you're here, your success must not be intertwined with self-assertion of saying, I am the best in class. Being the best in class doesn't translate into success, because in the times I was in high school, there was this system which was negative, where all the bright kids were in 10A, and then 10B, semi-smart, 10. But those in 10G were seen as, but I use this word, domkop. You say, no, those ones are useless and so forth. In life today, some of the guys and ladies and gents who were in 10G are occupying executive positions. Why am I making this analogy? It's not about where you get branded to say, this is your capability. For an example, one of the things I always encourage people is that we need to get into a culture of reading. But reading daily doesn't translate into success, because what content are you reading? What are you consuming on social media? We live in a generation of trending. I mean, we are in this room, I'm sure the combined experience in terms of experience in this room, it calculates to hundreds of years. But you might not be trending because you don't have 10,000 followers on Twitter. Trend within your community. One of the things I've learned, which was distinct in my career, was that when you get blessed, start to implant within your own family. I would rather have a mother who looks at me and say, son, I am proud of you, I am proud of who you are, and rather than being idolized by people I don't know on social media. So to the celebrants, this is the challenge that's going to be with you. You know that there's people who have graduated, but they can't find jobs. We have seen the numbers, very scary. 2.2 million jobs lost in the last in Q2 of our economy. What does it mean? It means when you send your CV out there, it's going to compete with many, many overqualified people than yourselves. But one thing I've learned as well is that as you nurture and build your career, it's not about how many degrees you have or how many certificates you have. We need to dispel the notion of a certificated generation. They are there, they're beautiful, they'll be hanging on your walls, but they shouldn't be on your walls. They should be on your daily activity where you go out there, pitch yourself, present yourself. And it's so sad because in my career, I've also interviewed many potential candidates who lack what we call self-assertiveness. When you get given an hour in an interview, that's it, it's an hour. And there are times where it can take 30 minutes not because you're training, but because there's no substantive content. One of the things growing up, I mean, I'm a very energetic person. I think Shalate and the other team will tell you. I was told that I talk too much. Did it worry me? No, it didn't. What I did was to improve my content. And that is why today my voice is my invoice. It doesn't have to come to a point where people start branding you and say, you're too shy, you're too reserved, because that is what society does. And again, I always say that your achievement will also attract negativity. Some within your family will say you think you're better because you got some cash in the bank from Charlotte. Some will say to you that because you think you're degreed, you have a master's degree, you think you're better than us. It's okay. Thieves never break into an empty house. When they criticize you, it means there's something distinct about you. Do not listen to the voices. Ladies and gentlemen, there's just so much voice noise out there. Society, and I think South Africa in particular, is in need of great role models. Operative word is great. Great doesn't mean that you have followers or that you can influence people. It means you're making a difference. The education system that we have in South Africa can only play its part. But why do you always have to equate smartness with being degreed? Once you are educated and you lack respect for others, I think you are what you call an educated fool. Do not be like that. Conform to the standards and patterns of humility. One of the things people sometimes ask me to say, you have such a rich CV. What has kept you going? Humility. No matter how great I am, if I do something great, whether it be being the spokesperson of the Ministry of Police or heading one of the biggest food companies in the world, leading their communications and narrative, every time somebody says, well done, I always say, let me humble myself and say, what's next? I have not achieved what I have because I was smartest in the room or maybe the better candidate on the day, but because there was a concerted effort of constantly learning and unlearning new things. Because one of the things you need to do as an individual is that when you have certain beliefs and then you present it with new evidence of things that can transform and make you better, embrace them. I choose my company very carefully. I might have acquaintances, but I have a very few friends. It wasn't about numbers when Jesus Christ appointed 12 disciples. He could have gone for 200,000, but it was about the quality of association. So to the parents, if there's one thing that we want to say in this room is that well done for the support you've given to these learners, to these students who have done so well. But if there's one mistake we tend to make is that we think maturity is about age. It's not. There are people who have bad days, they grow older, but there are people who mature. I've also met 40-year-old children, and I've also met 18-year-old bright sparks and mature people. So age is just a number. Your role in terms of the way forward is that these celebrants who are in this room will need you more than ever. They will need your support because learning is a constant journey. You can never come to a point where you say, I have arrived. I still read a lot. If there's one motto that I want to also share with the celebrants is that never go to bed without learning something new for the day. I'm not talking about Google. I'm not talking about Twitter or Facebook or social media. Learning can be from a child, from somebody who is not educated, who can give you advice. I remember some years back, I'll make this example. Michelle Obama came to Soweto, and there were many young black kids who were so excited to see her, and some of them were saying, you know, she's my role model, and I asked them why. Most were saying, no, she told me that I must work hard, believe in myself, and I said, but your own grandmother who was selling vegetables told you over and over, Guti, Mtwanami, go to school, believe in yourself. What's the difference? And they looked down, they couldn't answer me. Why? Because we've always equated fame or even Americanization to say my role model is Barack Obama. Nothing wrong with that. But look within your own family. In this room, for example, there's people that I've identified and I said before the end days, I need to go to them, reach out to them and have a conversation with them. So it should never come to a point where your success is interdependent on things that will never build you. Choose your career, choose your passion, because there's many people who are qualified today, but they don't have passion. That is why you go to some of the government departments and you get a shorty service, because people are in careers they didn't want to be. I have friends who are doctors today, some wanted to be lawyers. I have friends who were told that unless you become a doctor in this family, you will not fund your studies. So we also need a paradigm shift, I think, as society to say, find your passion, because it will not take TUT to say to you, today you are qualified and therefore you have a pathway to success. It doesn't work that way. Now, coming to the corporate sector, I know some of you will take different paths. There's entrepreneurship in South Africa. I just want to emphasize there's nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5 job. There are people who go into entrepreneurship with the wrong mentality. I'm an entrepreneur myself. It took me 18 months to learn the art of entrepreneurship, reading, researching, talking to entrepreneurs who have been in their business to learn the art of the business. It's not easy. Sometimes you'll be a great entrepreneur, but you don't have principles. When you go somewhere, you pitch for a tender, they say, sure, we'll give it to you, but what's our cold drink? We all know what cold drink means. You can't give them Coca-Cola. In those matters, that's where your strength, your moral compass will be challenged. What is your business built on morals, or is built on a get rich quick? Coming to the corporate world, when you go there, the fact that you are a top achiever at TUT will be immaterial. And I'm sorry to be the spoiler of the news. It doesn't count. Once you get into that office space, you are part of a team. You can come with your beliefs and say, where I grew up, we're told this and that. It doesn't matter. You're joining an institution, you become part of their DNA. If they tell you now and say, in this company, we behave in this manner, you have to subscribe to that. Is it going to be competitive? Yes, it is going to be. Is it going to be frustrating? Yes, it is. But until you develop a self-worth of actually saying, this is what I stand for, these are my principles. Some of the people that I grew up idolizing, by the way, even in South Africa, some of them have appeared before the commissions of inquiry. It's so sad to have to take your CV and remove a role model because you're as good as your last project. You can take 10 years to build a brand and 10 seconds to destroy it. There are people who are in prison today, not because they are bad people, but because of that once-off association being in the wrong company. So your success, much as I want to compliment you, I also want to, make you think about some of the things that you have learned, things that you've achieved. I know that most of you did not achieve because you were shouting, I receive. You worked very hard. But the journey is just commenced now. You're transitioning from tertiary to corporate world. And all you need now is just to have more support from the parents, from the community, and also make sure that you're beginning to believe in yourself much, much better. Because I sometimes sit here and when people read my CV, I always say it was a collective effort, but it was also a personal choice that I had to make. And Sharon spoke earlier about behind every successful man, there's a woman. It's actually not behind, it's next to. Because you can't leave your partner behind when you want to achieve. What does it mean? It means that partnership can also translate into other spheres. There are people in this room who will inspire you, but as you get to know them better, you realize that there's also some fronting. So be careful about the choices that you make. But I think as I conclude, you have done well. You have succeeded in your academic excellence. The challenge now is to translate that knowledge into practice. That will not happen if you sit here and then you don't apply, you don't engage yourself. And one of the things I always encourage is that have a personal branding. Go out there and say, how do I become different? Because a starting point, and I know it's a practical example that you might think it's an obvious case, how to craft a CV, how to present yourself in an interview. These are things that I've seen that most people have struggled with, because you might have had some distinctions in your academic record, but how do you translate that into a practical success? And there's something that I love. I always coach my mentees to say, it's what I term intelligent failure. We must never be afraid to embrace failure, because failure will make you want to improve. It mustn't be a hobby to a point whereby, it happens consistently. But in my company right now, we encourage young people to be innovative. We have interns who have come on board. We tell them that do things differently. There's COVID-19 now. How does COVID impact the way we communicate? So they come up with, but we encourage them. We make them present in front of the CEO and say, this is the strategy we formulated for the betterment of the company. This is going to help us as a society, as South Africa, because as I say, there's a shortage of great role models. And in this room, I expect you by next year or in the next years to come, we should be seeing more and more of these TUT alumni coming, occupying those spaces. It's so good, because one of the things, I think Sharon mentioned it to say, I might have done well in my brand projection of the companies I've worked for. It's because I have connections in addition to qualifications, legal connections, which means friends are with, I have to emphasize and underscore the point, because when we say connections, people think bribery. No. Here's an example. If I work on a story and I want to pitch that SABC, ENCA, or Newsroom Africa, I talk to my friends, because these are friends, but the story will be broadcast based on merit. I don't expect shortcuts, but the network that I've built over the years has helped me, both locally and internationally. If I go to Australia, to the UK, there's networks I've developed. And right now you have no excuse because of the technology we have. Nothing stops you from reaching out to the head of communications in Nestle, Brazil. We sort of like have a weekly call where we share best practices. What does it do? It means without me embarking on an international program that is expensive, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I have an exchange program with my peers. And guess what? Sometimes you think you're far behind. They sometimes say to me, Israeli, please come to Brazil or UK to share your best practice that you've developed in South Africa. It wouldn't have happened if I was only qualified. It wouldn't happen if I was only certificated. But because you set these goals, that's why I'm saying on a daily basis, I never go to bed without learning something new. That has helped shape my thinking. It has shaped to analyze things, because being analytical helps a lot. And I'm currently reading the World Economic Forum, which talks about some of the careers which are going to be obsolete. But I don't want to spoil the mood, because I won't mention which careers there are. But what it says, the report outlines some of the key things to say. Future employers will look for problem solvers. They won't look for somebody who says, I was waiting for my manager to give me a go-ahead. If a building is on fire, you don't wait. You take the fire extinguisher, minimize the damage, and you say, sir, while you are away in the boardroom for the whole day, I made a judgment call. That's what we have to develop. We need people who can take the bull by its horn, but within the framework of respect. Because sometimes when you look at the TV and radio stations and you hear about the corruptions, people violate things that are common sense. I mean, the Public Finance Management Act, the corporate principles are things that you cannot say, I was just feeling lucky, or maybe, no, you have to comply. But at the end of the day, I think today it's about you, it's about your celebration. It is a joyous celebration, as I said. And I just want to say congratulations. The opportunities are in front of you. I don't think the lectures will be out there helping you to apply. Charlotte and the team will make those opportunities available. As Nestle, yes, I will be on the lookout and advise you. But as I say, I only maintain legal connections. So if you're looking for illegal connections, I'm sorry, I don't want to appear before the Zondo Commission. So with those words, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm just a young man from Soshanguve who was blessed, but incorporated those blessings through hard work, because I didn't want to let God down. God gave me talent and skills, but it was up to me to have this partnership of actually driving, and so that when God looks at me, can say, this is my son in whom I am pleased. So with those few words, I want to say, to be young, gifted, and bold, It's in your hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mnisi, for those inspiring words. I think we've all heard, and we are all inspired to take on the world. What I take from your address is that, you know what, basically the world is your oyster. What you do going forward will be determined by your own trajectory. You know, I was listening keenly as you were speaking, and I love the fact that you talked about you grew up in a culture of reading. Reading is what brought you here today. I want to thank this relative of mine that made it a point that every Saturday when I was growing up, our first stop would be at the Elder Rain Library, where I would pick up a set of books for the week. I had to pick up books that I had to read. Over and above that, this relative of mine also made it a point that we go to CNA in Centurion and buy new books constantly. I think that reading culture is what gave me the understanding that books open up your world. They actually open up your understanding of the world. They give you, I'm a big believer in lifelong learning. Learning, as Mr. Mnisi has mentioned, just doesn't happen in a classroom. It happens in the world around you. Personally, I'm big on constant studying. I've constantly got my nose in a book. And I think part of the excitement of liking studying is because I like the outfits that you get to buy when you graduate. So any excuse to go shopping, I will find any excuse to buy a new outfit. And a graduation is as good as any to actually buy a new outfit. So I challenge you as graduates that learn not only in the classroom, but learn outside as well. Take on a lot of new opportunities. We all are aware of the fact that the BTEC has been phased out, but in its place, there's advanced diplomas, there's postgraduate diplomas. Expand your world. So many people graduate on a daily basis. You need to have a situation where you stand out. What will make you stand out? If there's 50 of you with a national diploma in engineering, what other things do you add? Your world knowledge, your interaction with the world around you. You've got your first diploma under your belt. Yay, we're excited for you. Go out there, do all the things that you want to do. The next part of the program that we're going into is basically a congratulatory speech and a presentation of the awards. I think I would be remiss if I simply said it's all your hard work that got you here today. But I think we need to be honest to say all of you are here today, number one, because of your family that have supported you, that have made it possible for you to study and that have stood by you. I think we're all very familiar with the fact that our parents shape how we see the world and how we interact with the world around us. I was very fortunate that I had very present parents, sometimes a bit too present. It does get a bit overwhelming, but as I get older, you realize it's actually something that you use as a positive because these are your biggest champions. These are people that shape your understanding and that help you to actually navigate the world around you. The world, let's be honest, it's a very scary place. And if you don't have anybody who's been there, done that, you can get easily overwhelmed. So as parents that are here to support their children, continue to be present in their journey, continue to inspire them, continue to open doors and assist and give guidance because it plays a very, very big role in terms of that person's development. As you grow older, you develop an appreciation for your parents. When you're younger, it's just like, oh Lord, these people again, now what? But as you grow older, you realize all that nurturing and attention, it actually drives you because you constantly are wanting to make other people proud. I'm going to share a story. Dr. Robertson was there when I started my career at TUT. I was an undergrad in the hospitality department. I don't know if you still remember, Dr. Robertson, the conversation we had about your teapots that do not, and the teacups that don't match to your house. I still remember the conversation. It was the funniest thing to me, where he was telling me about how everybody is obsessed with this, having this matching teapots and teacups, etc. He was one of those lecturers that it wasn't about the classroom. It was about you as a student. He forged a personal connection. He understood you. He made sure that you felt seen. Varsity can be very, very overwhelming. For me particularly, it was. I had come from a high school where there were 15 of us in a classroom to suddenly walking into a boardroom, into a auditorium of like 80 people. It was a culture shock for me. I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I come from knowing the name of everybody that I'm in a classroom with, and we all came from the same primary schools. So you build a community around you, went to the same primary school, the same high schools, and now you're suddenly in this big world of people that do not necessarily come from the same background with you. So it can be very, very overwhelming, and I think this is probably why some of the students don't end up not completing. I heard a very exciting story that TUT has a program, I think it's something 101, where they help a student acclimatize to the higher education institution. That's a great program because it means that it helps you navigate that space. So Dr. Robertson, and I'm sure pretty much all the HODs and all the deans and everybody at TUT, they forge special relationships with their students. And I think this is why TUT on this day is ranked one of the top 10 institutions in the country out of the 26. That's quite a feat. I mean, it can't be easy competing with the likes of your UCTs, etc. So being ranked top 10 is an achievement. I think we all deserve a round of applause because I think everybody in this room contributed to that. As I was talking earlier, I spoke about, I believe in the concept of lifelong learning. I would like to see all of you continue to study further, and hopefully, I want to see some of you reach the pinnacle of your academic success by going for your doctoral degree, because then you are adding a new body of knowledge to the scholarship. I want to remind you that as much as you've got that nice little incentive and you're getting this nice little plaque and you take a picture opportunity, academic achievement is not a once-off. It means the pressure is now on. You have shown that you have what it takes. So you now have to constantly be on the path to do better as you go along. TUT alumni are making waves all over the country and all over internationally. Be one of those people that are adding to this area of making waves. Share your knowledge and always strive to leave people better than you found them. That's my personal philosophy. So I always try when I interact with the world around me to add value to the people around me. There isn't a single formula for success, as Mr. Nisi has spoken. Follow your journey, follow your light, and do what works for you best, and then make a contribution. For me personally, I think since I was about 15 or so, I embarked on what I call a series of 5-year plans. My life is planned down to the detail. Could it be because I'm a little OCD, but it works for me. So I looked and said, okay, for the next 5 years, these are the things that I aim to achieve. And I tick them off as I go along. So at the end of the 5 years, I assess to say, how far am I to achieving what I want to achieve? Because success is not an accident. You actually have to plan around it. You have to identify what it is that you want to do to achieve that. So find a method that works for you and make a success of yourself. So I'm going to invite Dr. Selepe up here, and we are going to be awarding our VIPs for today. I see it's a nice mixture of ladies and gentlemen. I'm a big proponent of the women, so I always cheer louder for the women. So men, please don't take it personally. It's just simply because as women, we have to support each other and we have to try and, shatter that glass ceiling so we get to the point where we are also seen as, captains of industry, as also to put it. So if you could please join me, Dr. Selepe, up here. Ms. Davana, if you could please assist us with, and also Regina, if you could please assist us with the awarding of the certificates for our top achievers. I'm very, very excited. I just want to ask that as you come through, I will read out the names. Dr. Selepe will congratulate you. Please ensure that you take a picture next to that very nice hashtag at TUT so that you've got a nice opportunity to brag about the fact that you were one of the big cream of the crop, because let's not minimize it. People don't give us enough credit. School is hard. It's like literally very, very hard. And the fact that you managed to get through 3 years and still bag that awards that you're bagging today, you should be very proud of yourself. So I am then going to give Dr. Seleba, I don't know if I want to give an opportunity. Would you like to say something to our distinguished VIPs before we award them? And then we just take it from there.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. I don't know if she remembers me when she started at TUT way back in social movement. She was so small. So small you could hardly recognize it. But everybody knew her. And I'm just proud of her today because even though she was small by then, everybody knew her because of what she was doing at that time. And today we can see that indeed she did well. I just want to congratulate all the celebrants of today. We really miss to walk with you in the TB hall and other halls around our campuses in TUT. But this is a very special moment in a very special year. It's a special year because a lot of things in our lives have come to a halt, especially with gatherings. And gatherings are very important in our lives because they become our mirrors, especially milestone gatherings. And therefore, this is a very important one, and go out and share with those who have missed, if they've been invited and they have missed the occasion due to other reasons. But you have done us proud and continue to do us proud. We are the best university. Last night, as I was grappling with looking at the historical literature of who we are in order to prepare a dialogue paper for the VC, I actually at some stage cried, going back to when we were still a technical college and rising up to when we became a technical and when we became a UOT. You don't know where the qualifications you are currently having comes from and where they are taking you, and therefore continue to do us proud, but remember humility at all times. And congratulations once more.
Thank you, Dr. Selebe, for that heartwarming speech. I'm going to ask our recipients, as you arrive, please stay to the side. We'll take a picture, as well as you can take an individual picture over there. So I'm going to start with the first award of the day. This first award is Chancellor's Medal, awarded by Council to Mr. Tian Duplessis for the Bachelor of Technology in Engineering, Mechanical Mechatronics. The next award goes to a lady. So you can be sure that I'm extra excited because, like I said earlier, I am a big proponent of the lady. It goes to Ramaisele Patience Shoba for outstanding academic achievements for the National Diploma, Finance and Accounting, Public. I have such profound respect for people in the arts. I am like, how do I put it? I have 2 left feet. I cannot sing to save my life. I think maybe my gift is that I love to read, and that's where it ends. So when I see anyone doing well in the field of the arts, because this is pure talent, I always cheer extra loud for this. So the next award for outstanding academic achievement is for the National Diploma, Vocal Art Performance. And this award goes to Ms. Anne-Marie Malevich. next award goes to Nshalati Ditswalo Samantha Boweni for the Bachelor of Technology in Information Technology Business Applications. You know, it's for me in this digital world, we are all moving into 4IR, and it's nice for me to see women taking up their space in this new up and coming field. So please continue to make us proud. So the next award goes to, somebody from the same Ambenda, and proudly so. So another one of our people is winning an award, and this award goes to Ms. Fatuani Patience Sakela for outstanding academic achievement in her Bachelor of Educationist Consumer Studies. So this is the person who's going to be shaping new young minds, and you're winning an award already, so we are very sure that you are going to be doing amazing. This next award goes to a faculty that is very close to my heart. I am a hospitality person through and through. You can never take it out of me. It's a passion, it's an interest. I work for a sector education and training authority that focuses on affording learners an opportunity to get access to training and development in this space. So whenever I see anybody adding to this already prestigious space, I get very, very teary. So Ms. Christy van Dommelen, for your outstanding achievement in your National Diploma in Hospitality Management, the next award goes to you. Last but not least, once again, we are awarding another woman. Very nice to see that we are taking up our space in this world. And I foresee that very soon that glass ceiling will totally be shattered and we'll be in a space where we compete on equal footing. The next award goes to Sune van Rensburg for outstanding academic achievement in National Diploma in Radiography Diagnostics. Thank you so much, Dr. Silebe. Now we go into the part of the program that is about the people that are here in this room. The rest of us are actually just here accompanying them. Today is all about them, their achievements, their hard work. I think we would have loved to hear from each and every one personally, but unfortunately, time management makes it very difficult for us to allow everybody to, have their say. But I think the person that has been chosen to speak on their behalf will do justice to that exactly. So I'd like to request that Ms. Anne-Marie Malevich please come up. It's actually fitting for me that you have someone in the arts that stands up here and speaks on behalf of everyone, because we've been told people in the arts are very flamboyant. So I think you are definitely going to be capturing the spirit of everybody here and I hand over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's so interesting to see so many people in one room. I love it. Been missing the stage way too much. Personally, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to acknowledge the hard work that goes into maintaining academic excellence. This is really a tribute to us, to hard work, to dedication, to our families, to you, our lecturers, to our HODs who have always helped us through all the hard spots. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part of TUT. I know you say we chose you, but for me it felt like I was chosen by you. Everywhere I go, I'm so proud to be part of TUT because you taught me how to be a strong woman. You taught me to have a thick skin, to be creative, to be innovative, to go through every trial and tribulation that life gives you with a positive attitude. Really, my time at TUT has been challenging, but it also has been the most rewarding time of my life. I think I can speak for my fellow recipients and my peers that we can say that we can go anywhere and be proud to say that we are alumni of TUT. Thank you, Nyabonga, Rialebocha, Baie Dankie, for being the people that you are. Thank you for allowing us to be the people that we are. Thank you for taking the time to acknowledge the fact that we had sleepless nights, and we worked incredibly hard. We didn't always go to social events because we were hoping for the best when it came to the test that came the next day. Thank you for allowing us to meet our lifelong friends and for being our guidance counselors, basically, for guiding us through life. Thank you for being motivating to us, even though we are just children of where we come from. Thank you for acknowledging the art. It's incredible. Thank you for acknowledging all the faculties. Every person is important. And by hosting this event, you are motivating people to work hard and to be the best that we can be. Because I'm an artist, I decided to end my speech in a way that is true to me. So, enjoy. As you find your way through this life you make, I hope you live each day for all it's worth. Go where your heart leads and dream your biggest dreams. All of these things, I will pray for you. I will pray for you. I will pray for you through every darkness, through every light. This road ahead of you, I cannot carry you, but I can promise I will pray for you. And if you ever start to wonder if you're in this world alone, I'll be there to help you. If you lose your way, if you lose your faith, when this time is through, my final wish for you is to count your blessings, not your regrets. With peace inside your soul, and all that heaven holds. I hope you'll always know we will pray for you. I hope you'll always know we will pray for you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. I literally have goosebumps. That is pure raw talent. I look forward to seeing your name amongst the stars, among the pretty yendes of this world, as they are there out there making a name for themselves. As the rest of the graduates that have now also received awards, I will be looking out for your names because, as I said, you now have a seat at the table. You need to take that seat and make it count. As we come to the end of this prestigious event that is all about you and your achievements, I want you to sit back and reflect on your journey that got you to here. But I also want you to think, what is it? It's basically your life has just started. What are you going to do with the rest of it? How are you going to add value? How are you going to pay it forward? How are you going to produce the next excellent person out there? You know, working for a sector education and training authority. I work with the Advancement and Partnerships Office. When as a CETA we've got bursaries available or any opportunities, my first choice is always the institution that I went to because I know they produce excellent graduates. I know that the lecturers and the staff at TUT are dedicated to ensuring that they shape young minds that are going to contribute meaningfully to the economy. You know, as I read and as I interact with my working space, one of the studies we did recently, particularly for the hospitality industry, we've identified that the bulk of senior management in the hospitality industry are people that are on their way out. They are about to retire. We don't have enough young people to take up the space. So I urge you, study further. I'm sure that's similar in every other sphere. Study further, take your space, become the captains of industry, make TUT proud. But I also urge you, as you do this, please keep the name of TUT high. Ensure that you are a brand ambassador. Ensure that people know that you are a product of this great university. I look forward to seeing all the different things that you're going to be doing out there. And I look forward to also you being the PR wing of TUT. If you've got younger siblings and friends and family, encourage them to study further, encourage them to take up the space. I think now more than ever, because of COVID, we need more people that are willing to take up the mantle to take the country forward. We are working in very uncertain times, but I don't look at COVID as just a disruptor. Some of the biggest disruptors in the world have come to give us an opportunity to rebrand, to do things differently. As we come out at the end of this, what are we going to do differently? How are we going to position South Africa globally to be a world leader in terms of how we do everything that we do? I'm going to invite Professor Elsabe Coetzee to please come up and do a closure for us.
I must see where we are now. It's a good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank you. This is my honor to everyone present today at this very prestigious event. The recipients of the awards, your families, your friends, you have traveled from afar, and we really appreciate it, especially also under the circumstances of still, we must be aware of COVID. I wish to thank the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Prof. Makola, for standing in for the VC, who is going through a difficult time now. Prof. Makola, I think you don't ever have time for yourself, or you do not ever consider your own time before TUT. Doesn't matter if it's a Saturday, if it's a Sunday. Prof. Makola is always willing and be there. And I always, especially lately, feel I must be next to him because we struggle through student difficulties. And therefore, I appreciate so much, Prof. If I come to a place and I see, yes, there's Prof. Makola. You're not the exception. Prof. Makola is the one who's always there. At the same time, also our EMC members, thank you very much, Dr. Selepe and Dr. Mashatoni, for your presence. We really appreciate it. Then I want to turn to Mr. Manisi. You came up, you say, I'm not a motivational speaker. And I want to say to you, sir, maybe that is an understatement or a blatant lie. You know, working with as DVC Student Affairs, it's not always an easy task. We are here to celebrate achievements and giving awards to students. But out there are thousands of students that need this kind of conversations. I try my best to speak to student leaders as often as possible, but I was just sitting there and I'm thinking, what change can it make if they see a boy from Shashanguve speaking to them directly, where you come from, how humble you are, how you do not just take what you got for granted, but you work your way throughout. And I'm really going to make use of that. If ever there's an opportunity to speak to our new leaders, I'm going to press on your button and say, please come and speak to our new leaders. Then Sharon, I'm going to add you here as an MC. I met you today. My poor son was in the same situation. He didn't have a choice. He first tried UP and he tried law. And after 1.5 years, I say, TUT, that is where you go. So to be a white boy in a Shashanguve environment, study there some years ago was not the easy task. I say, if your mom can be there for 25 years, so can you. And you know what is so special, and I expect it from our alumni or our students who receive awards and going out in the world there. He started working after his degree at PPS, and that is a company that is not acknowledging TUT students for investments and insurance and so on. It's professional. It's a company for professional young people or professional people, but they have this very strong relationship with UP, and they didn't acknowledge a BTech degree. And he was appointed as a youth market specialist, and then without, I don't think intentionally, it's spontaneously, because he had those years at Shashanguve, he mixed with people. He said, but why don't you accept and acknowledge a BTech degree? And there his journey started. And it took him a few months to convince the directors. And eventually, after a year or so, our BTech students were acknowledged. Now we're at the new curriculum, and now it's the same situation with the advanced diploma, where they again do not acknowledge. But the point that I want to make is, if you experience your university, that culture became part of your life, and wherever you go, you remember it. You don't distance yourself. I'm a Shashanguve lecturer. That is where I started years ago. Yes, and even in one university, I am sure Pretoria campus to be there is more privileged, but I will die with that special passion for Shashanguve and the people at Shashanguve. When I drive in there, being now having a campus or an office at Pretoria, it's still my place. It feels that like that is my place where I go to. That is what I plead with all of you. Wherever you go, remember where you come from. You have roots, and you must continue to believe that. Never distance yourself. I grew up in Proclamation Hill, which is not the best of the suburbs. I was in Victoria West High School. I had to work double so hard compared to people in another suburb in my years. But I will change that for nothing in the world, because that made me what we are today. So thank you very much, Sharon. I appreciate what you said about your relative here, because I'm also such a relative. Then lastly, my appreciation to Dani Ferns and Charlotte Devana. Oh yes, I first want to thank our student who made a vote of thanks and your item. I agree. I can never sing and never do anything in the arts, and to hear that is incredible. I cannot think that somebody can stand up with any music, any background, and you deliver such an item. I will remember that. Thank you very much. And then Dani Ferns and Charlotte Devana from the Advancement and Partnership Office for organizing this event, the venue, the refreshments, and all the other logistics. Thank you so much to our corporate affairs and marketing, which is an important partner in building the university stakeholder relationship. We acknowledge you. And then I wish you everybody a safe journey. Enjoy what, I suppose there's still something to eat, is there? Enjoy it, and I wish you a safe journey home. Let's continue, follow health protocols, and please stay safe. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Katia, for that powerful address. What I took from that is that embrace who you are, embrace where you come from, and use that to propel you forward. Thank you to everybody that took time out of their busy schedules to be here today to support your children, to support your colleagues, and the lecturers. All of us have something better that we could be doing right now. But we are here to celebrate you because what you've done is an amazing achievement. I'm going to leave you with this. This is my motto. It's what drives me every day. As I wake up, the one thing I constantly tell myself is that no one is me, and that is my superpower. So I use who I am to propel me forward. Be true to yourself. Do what makes you happy, but as you do that, ensure that you are leaving people better than you found them. As we come to an end, there's a buffet outside of the same area where we had the starter earlier. There's a buffet that's available. However, it is a cash bar. We are working in COVID times, so unfortunately, finances are a little tight, so please bear with us and understand that it's a cash bar. And thank you so much for this opportunity to serve the institution that I'm very proud of. I am not ashamed of the fact that I'm a TUT graduate. It's actually something I carry with pride. I'm convinced that I am where I am today because of the amazing lecturers that put the time in to tame a very energetic, so they channeled my energies, very energetic 17-year-old who had her own ideas. But in those 3 years, I was shaped into someone who was focused on this is what I want to do and this is how I'm going to do it. I went on, I did my BTech with TUT. It wasn't easy. I just started a career and I was studying part-time, attending block lessons. It wasn't easy. I'm very excited. I'm holding my fingers and toes and everything crossed. I've just submitted my thesis for my MBA and I'm hoping that it goes well. And my topic was actually the effectiveness of learnership programs in promoting employment in the hospitality industry. I told you that I'm very passionate about hospitality. So for me, I married my two loves, education as well as hospitality. The point of the thesis for me was not everybody will be able to go to university, we acknowledge. There are issues of APS scores and not being able to have access. So I was trying to understand, if you go through the vocational program of learnerships, how can we then integrate you later on to ensure that you are able to progress. Basically, the study did identify that learnerships, yes, do have an effect. You are able to enter the workplace, etc. But there is that little problem of further study. How do we take it to the next step to ensure that you are able to advance further? Because like I said, everybody has a diploma, everybody has a certificate. You know, God willing, if my thesis goes well, I plan on embarking on my PhD, which is designing a framework that ensures that those learnerships have the impact they're supposed to have in society. So I urge you, the rest of the people in this room as well, find something you're passionate about, give it your all, study further, even if it's just reading a book a day, enrich your mind, and go out there and make TUT proud and everyone around you. Thank you so much. I did mention that lunch is served, hey.